Why is it that I immediately look at you and I want to laugh?
I don't know what's wrong with you. I'm trying to fix this thing.
What's wrong with it? Does my hair look like this? I'll just do my hair while you're. Meh. It's okay.
That's gold, right?
You look fine. Yeah, that one's better.
This one?
You look pale on that one.
This one?
I like that one because it adds some color. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We are the We're Not So Different podcast hosts. I'm Samara. You are drunk.
No, I haven't had a sip yet, but I'm ready.
Yeah, I brought actually lemon raspberry San Pellegrino.
Is that
should be good?
Alcohol flavored or
no? Should I put alcohol in it?
I mean, it's up to you. I mean, I figure we got a later start time. It's easier to start boozing when I'm well off of work. So
that's good. I liked this little break. It was nice for me. How did you guys like it? That just
starting at 6.
Who are joining us? How did you like it, Aldi?
I mean, it was cool. I had some stuff that I needed to finish up anyway, so it worked out.
It was nice because I feel like every other time we come on this right after
I'm always rushing.
We're zombies. Like for the first 20 minutes, we're like,
yeah,
what's happening? Rushing. So, do you have a cheers for us today?
I do. For my I do a satirical cheers.
A hysterical cheers?
A
satirical
cheers. Yeah.
You always do. That's why I let you do them because you're the.
Okay.
I love your satirical cheers.
Well, I had a good laugh because I saw I've not really been following it in detail, but the story about the guy that owns the bar in Staten Island where they're refusing to abide by the COVID restrictions and what the governor says and all that. And so I'm actually going to satirically say cheers to that guy, because not only has he been able to defy the government, defy the governor itself, but he also was able to flee from police, get in his vehicle, and when the police tried to stop him, basically start his car, driving it with a sheriff's deputy hanging onto the hood of it, and was able to get out of jail without bail, without a bail fee whatsoever. So I actually want to cheers him for being able to, what's the word I'm looking for? Buck the system with no consequence. Also getting sympathy from news reporters and everyone else. This is his livelihood. I completely understand. We feel bad for him, with hundreds of people in the street yelling to open up the bar and all of them sharing COVID with one another. So congratulations for him for being able to run over police and still get sympathy, inclusive of, one of the reporters saying, I heard police are telling you, whispering in your ear, we don't want to have to do this. So, blue lives in this case don't matter. And it's more about this one specific person. So congratulations to him for being able to run over police officers.
That's not satire. That's just like twisted.
I mean,
is this your first one of the night?
Yep.
You enjoyed that a little too much.
I enjoy this. So even though I'm not being endorsed for all, this little floozy here, El Mayor Tequila, the Añejo, is very delicious for drinking straight. It's not even chilled, it's room temperature, and it's not expensive. You can find it at your local Total Wine for about $32. Highly suggested. It's very good. Especially for those that want something good, that are I don't know what to get, or I don't want to spend $80 a bottle. This is solid for $30. Most people drink it. They have an extra añejo as well, which I need to try, but this is a solid sipper. So I got a cheers and an alcohol recommendation.
That's awesome. That's great. You're quite productive. Your cheer wanted me to shoot myself. And
No, but so seriously though, I watched what's the name that does what's the black dude's name from South Africa that does the Daily Show now?
Trevor Noah.
That shit was hilarious. So he broke down the whole thing basically like a segment like You're Lucky to Be White.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. It really is funny. I was busting out of my seams laughing. It was that funny.
You
But he
should have
kind of
sent it.
huh?
You should have sent it.
My bad. Yeah. He recaps it, but it's just, it's just for the times that we live in. I mean, just for any time, it's just interesting to see how sympathetic people are towards this person and all that we've heard over the past few months about civil unrest and Blue Lives Matter and law and order and all
Right,
these things.
right. Respecting the
This
police.
respecting the police and all that. This guy
Right.
is like in defiance. There's hundreds of people screaming, chanting things like USA and this is freedom and all this other thing. He's disobeying the laws of the city, right? Even the police themselves supposedly are saying, hey, I don't want to have to, I don't want to have to do this. I'm wondering if they did that at the other marches, saying, "Oh, I don't want to have to shoot. I don't want to have to shoot you." Right? I'm sorry that happened, but this person, and they had him on video, like you can see the cop on the hood of the car as he's driving on. You're fleeing.
He endangered the cop's life.
He
and they still didn't shoot at him.
Did they shoot at him? Of course not. Right? And he's out without bail, just released. Like, and people are just like, "Oh, well, that's his business. That's his livelihood. He put blood, sweat, and tears into having a bar."
Meanwhile, black kids can't walk home from a party without getting
so
shot.
I didn't put blood, sweat, and tears into my child, so you can just shoot their ass in the street like dogs. I'm missing the point here, right? So I don't know. Anyways, the segment is hilarious because Trevor Noah just does the fool, so it's funny. But congratulations to him. I ain't gonna be no hater. If you can drag a police officer on the hood of your car and people still celebrate you for bucking the system, hey, good for you.
Meanwhile, tomorrow, what's his name? Brandon, I forgot his last name, might get executed.
Who?
We posted about it.
God, the dude that's fighting for the death sentence?
Yeah.
Piece? Yeah.
Yeah. For being a supposed and alleged accomplice to a crime. I don't know.
You have a death penalty for being an accomplice?
For an accomplice. For being a black accomplice.
Oh, well, there's the kicker.
I literally watched a crime scene, like an SVU episode where it was about these 3 black kids who went and kind of harassed a trans. I never know if it's a boy who is now transitioning to be a woman. Does that make her a trans woman or a trans man? Because I feel like if they're trans, it's going towards their original sex, but they're women now, so I don't know how that works. Do you know how that works? Do any of you guys know?
No idea.
Okay, so I think she's a trans woman, but they were like making fun of her, harassing her a little bit, and then she fell on one of the kids just because they were pushing her, and she ended up falling onto one of the kids, and the other kid pushed her so hard that she fell over a bridge.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so he wasn't trying to kill her, but like he fell on her. He freaked out and was like, what the hell, and like pushed her off. She ended up tumbling over, falling off the bridge, and then she ended up dying from her complications a few days later from like injuries. So then I'm watching this episode, and this kid was like 15 years old.
Oh, and
right?
This is on what, Law and Order SVU or something?
Yeah. And this kid is 15 years old, a good kid, an artist, felt horrible about it, apologized to the girl. The girl had accepted the apology. Even the girl's parents testified on behalf of the little boy because they were like, she wouldn't have wanted it to go like that, right? She wouldn't have wanted it to go this way. We already lost one life. Let's not lose another life kind of thing. And even the psychologist was just saying that, you know, at 15, she is not capable of making these types of decisions or whatever. Anyways, basically, she had a good case saying that, you know, he had never been exposed to trans people. He was confused. He didn't understand. And the psychologist was basically saying there's a fear that happens that's triggered. So it wasn't like intentional. It was just his physiological reaction was to be afraid and to be aggressive. And that he shouldn't be held accountable for that because he's such a young age. His brain is not fully developed. So he doesn't consciously make those choices. It's just a reaction that he didn't know how to work through. Anyways, so all of these people came in defense of him, even the girl's parents, the girl who passed away's parents, and the judge still sentenced him as an adult for a hate crime and for for murder. I felt so sick to my stomach after watching that show. I can't watch that show anymore. Like I don't know. So that story you just tell me, it just makes me more infuriated and angry than anything. It's just ridiculous. Interesting is not a good word. Like you're more articulate. You know more words than I do.
No, I don't. I'm like Trump. I say I know a lot of words, but I really don't.
You do. You know, like a lot of.
I use the same words over
again.
When
I talk to you, sometimes I have to look up words that you said.
I
swear to God, you have no idea. Like sometimes.
Oh, because I'm cussing and using colloquial expressions, so you're just like, wait, what is?
No. Because you use big words that I don't know what they mean, and so I'm like looking them up, and I don't know what they mean. You have a bigger vocabulary than I do for sure.
Well, thank you. I guess I don't know.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying, find a better word than interesting. Interesting is not the right word.
Yeah, I mean, the better word than interesting is, I mean, you could say inequitable, you could say unfair, you could say disgusting, you could say discriminatory, because that's what we're really talking about. It's not so much that a crime happened and someone was or was not punished. It's the circumstances under which they're not punished and whether or not the system is equal. So I would say, for that, as a parent, if someone of a different race, accidentally, quote unquote, killed my kid because they were responding poorly, et cetera, et cetera. And obviously if somebody pushed somebody, that's different from like saying they shot somebody or they're trying to actually kill them. I would want justice to be served to my kid. And I'm like, you're going to go to jail or whatever. Like, I don't care what your parents forgot to do. But in this instance, we're talking about the disparity between what happened. So to your point, that was a TV show, but it's very reminiscent of real life, right?
Because, and that's why it was so infuriating. If it wasn't, then I wouldn't have been so like upset about it. Like it wouldn't have impacted me so much. But because I know that it's true, this stuff happens all the time. It's just infuriating.
Yeah. And so just to parallel that with, for listeners, for the parallel for a real story would be the case that happened in Texas. This is the affluenza defense. So the white kid is in a pickup truck. First of all, he had a first violation because they stopped him for DUI, and he had like a girl in his car that was naked, and he's underage and she's underage. The next time he's driving drunk, a pickup truck again, and he kills 3 people and severely injures 1, including a teenage girl, a mother. I think she might have been pregnant. And the defense in court was, because he was so affluent, he didn't understand that there were consequences for his actions. Basically said he's too rich to understand that doing bad shit leads to bad consequences.
Oh my God.
And the psychologist and lawyer argued to the judge that he was so affluent to where it didn't register. So he kills 3 people, severely injures 1. I got to look. I mean, this was years ago. And they sentenced him to 2 years in a rehabilitation center in LA. And his parents had to pay like $500,000 a year.
Oh my God.
Oh, it gets better. The mom still flies to LA, snatches this fool out of rehab so they can go to Mexico for vacation. So now you're saying the affluent part applies to the kid, but apparently it also applies to the parent. But here's the kicker. The same judge, a case came before her prior to this. A black kid got into an altercation, again, underage, 15, 16, altercation with someone else, punched that person. They dropped, hit their head and died, right?
Oh my God.
Which is manslaughter, right? This other kid was driving drunk and killed, three
Oh
people.
my God.
She sentenced the black kid to 15 years. Straight from juvie, he's going straight to adult prison. And I actually wouldn't be surprised if he went straight to adult prison, period. So again, manslaughter again, unintended consequences again, but 3 lives, right? And 2 years probation.
Oh
And
my
this
God.
kid 1 life, again, not necessarily trying to compare lives, but 1 life, and you give him 15 years,
That's
right? And again, both of them are quote unquote accidental.
accidental.
One is a fight, right? And the other one is, well, I'm drunk driving and just
One
doing
is
whatever.
survival, one is just yeah,
So
entitled.
so
Right.
that's like, and I think probably a lot of the stories that they get are probably based on some true story or something that happened in court cases for like Law and Order and all that. So
Yeah,
um,
probably. Which
yeah.
is again why it makes it that much more depressing. I'm really sensitive. You know what show I started watching today? This morning, actually. The first thing I did this morning was turn on the TV at like 6 a.m. um, Blacklist. Have you seen that?
No, I've heard of it, but I've never watched it.
It's with James Spader. It's pretty good.
Mm.
It was good.
Espionage and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really good. Are you watching anything new?
I watched this season of Industry on HBO.
What is that?
It's about a group of graduates that are starting in the hardcore finance world. So like hardcore finance would be like investment banking, sales and trading. So this is like where you see the floors where people are yelling at each other across the floor.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have traders that are trading, treasuries and other stuff. What?
I just literally, because you have a finance background, I literally just imagined you on the floor. Like, yeah, that would be hilarious. Just you, just like commander status, just like, ah.
No,
I'd be afraid of you.
no, you got to get your tenure up. But so it
Yeah.
is that environment where you have people that have accounts that are selling,
Uh-huh.
big lots of stocks and options and all that, right? And then on the other side, you have traders that are giving them pricing for it specifically. Um, and then on the other end of that, you have like your overnight investment banker type dudes that work all night. They're putting pitch books together and doing analysis and running models and all this other stuff
Mm-hmm.
to advertise products and services to their clients, right? They could be big hedge funds, venture capitalists, they could be other banks or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our client that just has a ton of money to invest, trying to earn money on the market. So
Ali has choice words on the trade floor. I know. I'm just.
so it's about that environment and these graduate students that
Okay.
are going there for their first year, and they're trying to basically make it. So they have a good diverse cast of characters, if you will, on HBO. So it's fairly gritty with the content and all that, but it just reminded me of my first job out of school, so that's why I liked it.
What was your first job out of school?
Working for B of A, Bank of America Securities, on a sales and trading floor.
Oh, were you really?
Mm-hmm. For a matter of fact, I worked on the CDO desk, which is collateralized debt obligations. That was part of one of the instruments that fueled the crash that we had
Yeah.
in the early 2000s, or I guess mid 2000s, 07, 08, because they were collateralized debt obligations. They basically put one security on top of another on top of another,
Right.
and package these crazy ass bonds together, including housing stuff. So that's where I started. So it reminded me of that, and kind of the way that culture can be sometimes. So
Why'd you leave?
I didn't fit, ironically. I didn't fit in. So there is a very distinct culture and hierarchy on those floors, and this show does a fairly decent job. Um, there's a distinct culture that comes in that into play there. So number one, it's they dress the same, they act the same, you have to be into the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's very assimilation culture centric, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here they wear, Patagonia and all that. They all dress similar, they drink the
Mm-hmm.
same things, they talk about the same things. And there's a very, very strict hierarchy. Like you have to pay your dues
Mm-hmm.
before people treat you with any sort of respect. The idea is that you never speak up or speak out towards your leadership. You don't, you know what I mean? Like, everything is about who makes the most money and all these other things. So it just didn't fit my personality of being a man, so to speak, and like the shit that my father told me or taught me growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And so um, I kind of sort of made a couple bad decisions, one of which was challenging the managing director over the whole, over my team, both in Charlotte and in New York, in front
Mm-hmm.
of everybody. And that didn't go over very well. So,
Do you regret it? Like, do you wish that you had done that? Hey, Sonia. Hey, Dominic.
um, yes and no. So,
Mm-hmm.
on one hand, I mean, we always think about, I mean, and everybody on IG Live can think about this because somebody asked me a similar question.
Okay.
Imagine what your life would be like if at the pivotal times in your life you went in a different direction,
Right.
right? So at all your different forks in the road. So it could be, why am I working for the company I am now rather than working for this other company?
Right.
What would have happened if I would have stayed with my old company? What would
Right.
have
I
happened
had a
if I,
big thought of that too this recently. Like I was going through that question in my head, but go ahead. You
yeah,
first.
no, I mean, it's very valid, right? What if I made a left instead of a right? What if
Yeah.
I decided to major in political science as
Right.
opposed to finance? What if
Right.
I had gone with a standard internship and didn't want to come back to California, right? What if I had, and this is one of those questions where, one of the things that I did wrong is that we went out on a group excursion and everybody from the Charlotte office was there. This guy's flying in from New York, and they're prideful people, right? This guy's making $1 million a year easy in
Right.
2003, right? This is the type
Right.
of money that these fools make. And I got obvious, and a lot of that is bonus, right? They'll get 200K, and then their bonus would be $1 million,
Sure.
right? Just one whop. So we were at an event playing pool, and so it came to find out myself and this guy just happened to be the best players, and so we started playing for money. So that was my
Oh,
first mistake, is agreeing to play for money.
and yeah.
So my pops, old school as he is, he used to play down in West Oakland, and they played for money. Like, and I knew it because the first time I came back from school, I thought I knew how to play. My pops whooped my ass like it wasn't nothing, and I was used to beating my friends. And so we started playing for money. So I'm like, that, oh, it's serious, right? Like it's money on the table. And there was a time where it was his time to shoot, and he moved my ball. And you can't do, well, it's not your turn anymore, right? If we're playing for money, like all rules hold. There is no, so we got into a back and forth about that. And
Oh
I remember,
man.
and I remember my coworkers kind of looking at me like, "Why are you even arguing with this dude? He's all of our bosses. Like, why would you even?" And I didn't give two. I was gone at that point. No alcohol, but just pride. And I'm a man. You're not gonna sit up here and cheat me in front of
Yeah.
all these people like I'm some. A little bit of your street starts to come in.
Sure.
You know what I mean that Fresno street shit
Right. I know. I'm feeling it.
starts to come in. And so after that, I could tell that there was a big difference in the way that, people treated me. You know what I mean? That just the
Yeah.
interaction, it just kind of went a certain way. And obviously when you're new, private, they can do whatever they want. So
Right.
I didn't last too much longer than that. It's one of those things where your reviews are good. Then all of a sudden they ain't so good. You're just like, I'm not doing anything different. So in any event, I do kind of wonder sometimes, like, if I had not made that decision or made it more of a point to assimilate into that lifestyle and the way that
Mm-hmm.
people wanted to treat me, but that I just didn't, you know what I mean? I just look at people like, who are you talking to? You know what I mean? Like, this is,
Yeah.
I'm not that person. What would have happened? But I saw what that would have looked like. There was another black dude on the desk that had been there for a number of years. He had grays in his hair, a little
Mm-hmm.
salt and pepper hair, and they talked to him like he wasn't shit, man. Like they had no respect for him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was there doing his soft shoe shit, going around doing whatever they said to do, and it was just, you could tell from the way that they spoke to him, they had zero respect for him. And I saw how that was, and I wasn't raised that way. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I'm just like, so if this is what I would have to do
And
in
become that.
order to
Mm.
be that, I mean, yeah, I probably left a ton of money on the table, right? Even if they pay you less than they do the white dudes, which typically is the case, there's still a lot of money to be made in
Right.
that area,
Right.
right? But I saw how they treated him, and and the way that he acted in turn. And
Mm-hmm.
he was like, "Oh man, I got to talk to you on the side and this, that, and the other." But I was just like, "I'm not interested in talking to you
Yeah.
because you just have you have this, you know, slouch persona where you're letting that industry dictate how they treat you. And they already have a habit of treating
Exactly.
people poorly until they earn their place, so to speak.
Right.
But on
Right.
top of that, he was black, and there was definitely there was a different way that he carried himself, and it wasn't a man.
Right.
It was
He
something
was
much less
broken.
than a man.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know. I mean, even if I'd have changed a couple of those decisions, who knows how long I would have necessarily survived, right? And I was trying to get back to California, and I was trying to
Yeah.
convince them to put me on a sales and trading desk over here, and I don't know how that would have necessarily worked. So I don't know. I mean, I think about it like from a monetary perspective, right? But I also just
Yeah,
like,
but
you know, I
you
know
would be
I ain't no punk.
miserable. You couldn't. Like there's you know. I don't I don't think you would have been happy at all.
It's not in me.
No, I don't think so.
Somebody got chin checked at some point. But I mean, if people want a little bit of an insight into how that is, I mean, there's definitely elements of that show that are true. Wolf of Wall Street, some of those other movies, there are elements of that stuff that is very, very indicative
Mm-hmm.
of that industry. It very much is a, you know, relationship built place. Act like us, do like us, walk like us, talk like us, and yeah, I don't know.
I just can't see you. I mean, I'd love to see you on the floor screaming, yelling. Yeah, now, so now you have to dance for money.
Hey, listen, I'm my own choreographer, so that works for me.
I want to. Never mind. I don't.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't. Not in the way you think I do. Just to laugh.
Yeah, you do. So, well, that's a good question. I mean, where do you feel like? So, if I would have stayed there,
Yeah.
that would have had the biggest impact on my trajectory. I think,
Sure.
both from
A
a
whole different
financial
career, a whole different lifestyle,
a whole different lifestyle, whole different
Yeah.
career. Especially if I'd have been like, I'm fine staying in Charlotte, right? Like,
Right.
it would have took me on a completely different trajectory if I'd have sucked it up and said, I'm gonna do whatever I can and kiss whatever asses I need to kiss to stay here.
Mm-hmm.
That my life would be probably completely different right now.
Yeah.
Not even probably, I guarantee you, it'd be a night and day difference.
Yeah.
What about for you? I would kick that question back. I know we were talking about the show industry, but
Yeah, I think for me, one pivotal the question that like I was asking myself just this last weekend was, what if I never moved to Texas? Like, what if I had stayed here, like let my husband go, and I would have just stayed here with the kids and not have gone, and what that would have been like.
Because how long
There's
were you there? 5 years?
Yeah, I was there for 5 years. But the whole reason we left and the way we left is it's a big dramatic story.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to get into that, but like I just feel like that move and the way we moved and all the things that happened before and during really impacted my older son. and with him, because we were watching old movies and I could see this, like, they're, they go through this transition from like 4 years old to like 5, 6, 7. They become this different person. And, part of me was like, that's when we moved. So I was just kind of curious, like, how traumatized or impacted was he by all of that and what it would be like. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I didn't really have a choice. Like, I had to move. Like, it wasn't really like it would have been a very different, it wouldn't have necessarily been a good thing if I had stayed. I don't think.
Yeah.
So so it worked. I mean, I think we are where we are because this is where we're supposed to be, right? Like, I don't really, if for example, for you, if you had to compromise your dignity and your self-respect in order to continue that, I don't think that's a better life, even though you might have gotten a lot more money out of it, right? Like, to me, I don't think you would, knowing you, I don't think you would have been happy at all. And most people wouldn't. Most people aren't happy when they have to like compromise a piece of who they are just to please some jerk, or or just to make money. You know what I mean? So for me, it's like when I look at it in that context, I'm like, yeah, no, this is where I need to be. I'm doing well, so it's like, and then plus when I make decisions, like life altering decisions, I really analyze it a lot. Like, I really do things to the point where I'm like, I have no regrets. Like, when I got divorced, I did everything. I literally thought of like, what are some things that I would maybe in like 5 years from now or like 6 years from now be like, oh man, I should have tried that. Like, I don't want to regret leaving. Right. And so I did everything that I thought I could do. And I did everything that I like. So if my kids ever ask me, like, why didn't you stay or try to make it work? I can say I did.
Gotcha.
Like, I did try. I did whatever I could to make it work. So I have no guilt. I have no remorse about it. It's done. Like, I can move on. I don't even have to think about it. So in those regards, like, I feel fine. My biggest remorse is always, and I think a lot of parents feel this way, it's just like, as the kids get older, you don't realize how little things you do or whatever you do to survive actually like really impacts them.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you don't realize it until it's too late. And then it's later, and you can do what you can to kind of minimize the impact or whatever, but it just, that's probably like my biggest thing is like that guilt of feeling like I couldn't give them the type of like stable childhood that I thought they deserved, right? Like the house, one home, happy parents, things like that. And so I think that bothers me, but then I have to remind myself, like, I had no control over that. Like, I can't control what another person does. And I have to remind myself, like, why I left and, all the things that were going on. But that's really it. But I never feel like regret in the sense of, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, or whatever. It's like, I'm here. This is, everything I've been through, good or bad, has gotten me to this place. I'm in a good place. So why, obsess over what could have been?
I would like to ask a question to kind of poll the group.
Okay.
And I know everybody can't tell their story like via a chat, but I want to know how many people live, for the people on here, how many people think about or have regrets about decisions that they've made. And I'll be the first person to raise my hand and say, I have a horrible time with acceptance. I struggle with acceptance. I always think about the different points in my life where I could have done something different and what the outcome may have been. Sure. Whether it's because, and Becca said yes. Yeah. So Becca and I, we are very much the same in that I think about not only the what ifs, but also things where I feel like I could have done better, I should have tried harder, or done something different. I do live in that space. And I know for myself, it's not the healthiest space to live into. So at least I've acknowledged it, right? But I do live kind of in that arena of like, I probably should have done this thing a little bit differently. People said Ali doesn't accept his accomplishments.
He
Yes,
really
very.
doesn't. He really doesn't. Like I have to, and that's why sometimes like
Mind the business, people's is people.
no. Thank you, people's. Like sometimes like I have to force him to acknowledge the stuff that he does, and he likes to give credit to other people very quickly, and I appreciate it, but you know, a lot of it is his efforts and his abilities that get us going. So I'm with you on that one. People's is people.
Whatever. I'm pouring more liquor. I'm not listening.
That's cool. You can do that. Difference between thinking about it and dwelling on it. Yeah, it's okay to think about it. It's okay to reflect about it and learn from it and be like, all right, next time I'm going to do this. Or you know what? I left this situation this way and I'm going to like make it better. Like I'm going to go call someone and get closure on this situation or acknowledge that I messed up or whatever. Do what I need to do to get that closure. But you know, I definitely try not to dwell on it, but learn from everything. You know, they say your failures are your opportunities to learn. Like, how do you become successful? Sure. You fail, you fail, you learn. Not everyone's as lucky as me to make few mistakes.
Yeah, no, and I agree.
I'm
with
kidding.
That.
I'm totally
trying
kidding.
to think about what Sonia said because she brought a good point. She said there's a difference between thinking about it and dwelling on it. Mm-hmm. And I agree with that 100%. And I'm trying to think if I dwell on things. And she said that she dwells. And I think maybe
women tend to, especially in relationships. Especially in relationships, because we're taught that if it didn't go the way we wanted it to go, it's probably because we did or didn't do something.
Yeah.
Right? Like I remember I was talking to somebody on the phone and they were like, well, when someone went and cheated on you with some ugly person, it's because, you know, you wouldn't do it in the ass and she would. And I was like, wow. That wasn't, he wasn't talking about me. He was just like sharing about an example. What? But I was like, I hope he's joking. I mean, I just
people, I need you right now.
What?
I was telling people's I need him right now.
Oh. But I was like, I mean, anyways, but for me, it but it's just like, I can't even talk anymore.
You should have been like, that's all right. Just take it slow.
No, but my point, I think, was that women tend to dwell on those relationships because for like in that example, we're taught we're not doing something.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of friends, and I used to do this too. I'm much better at it now. But like I used to do this too. I would dwell on like, what do I say? What should I say? Now I'm just like, you know what? I really don't have time for this. So I'm going to say what I feel is right. And I will, you know, he'll have to deal with it. Whatever he says, I really don't care.
I'm listening to you, but like,
I can't, I know, because I'm seeing some of these comments. And
my brain is all the way. I've gone all the
way. All right, why
don't
you tell us? Go ahead, tell us. People, go ahead. Now I want to know. I want to do.
I'm trying to figure out.
Do you guys want to know why they think it's so funny or what they're thinking about?
I was trying to figure out if I heard you correctly.
You did. I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did.
That is so wild. It's hilarious, though. Sonia said, I'm hard on myself, though. Becca said, I don't know, maybe men too. Sonia said, wow, people's laughing. Becca says, I feel like Ali was going somewhere. Now I'm out of here. I'm gone. WNS Live After Dark. Sonia said, yeah, it got gritty. But 6 o'clock is no joke.
No.
People's said, Ali, I need you. Sonia said, Beth, what was he saying? And Sonia said, because it's rare. So I wanted to touch on the comment about Sonia saying that she's hard on herself and Becca saying maybe men too. And I think it's more of a personality thing, right? I think that some people just go through life and they're like, hey, whatever decision I made is what I made, and it is what it is. And some people dwell, and I'm not sure that I dwell. I think about things in moments of time,
Mm-hmm.
and I dwell in that moment, but it's not very frequent, right? I don't often think about what would have happened if I'd have stayed at B of A, for example, right? I mean, I think about it from time to time, but I don't necessarily dwell on it. But sometimes I would say, Becca, that men do too, but I think it's more about a personality, and sometimes it's more about just
No, that's true.
it's
They're
sometimes it's more about the fact that they're just like, okay, let me move on from it, or they're internalizing it too, right? Like that's a real thing too. When we talked a lot about mental health in the past, and some of it is people are just in denial, right? Or they just refuse to deal with it per
mm-hmm.
se, right? And I'm like, this is something that happened in 2004, so I should be like, over it. But I think about it from time to time, right? Like, I wonder if I had, or should I have, or if the specific thing went a different way, or if I had, stayed out there or whatever. So, I mean, it's just, I think for some of us, life is full of what could I or should I have done differently when we think about where we are, what could have been, or whatever, right? But at the same token, if I'd have stayed out there, I probably wouldn't have Austin, right? So,
Right,
you know what I
right.
mean?
And
So
I
there,
always think about that, like, I got married young, so I always think about like, man, if I could go back, would I not get married again? Right? And then I'm just like, oh, that's tough. Like, I was like, and then I'm like, okay, what if? And I don't know why I'm talking to myself in these scenarios, but this is how my brain works. But I'm like, what if, you know, I could, and then I don't remember my kids at all. Like I have no memory of that, right? And then I'm like, okay, but then I'm like, but then I have to make that decision. You know what I mean? Like I have to know that I'm making that decision, that I'm
yeah.
saying that like, okay, I'm going to forget my children. I'm choosing. So I don't know that I could do that. Because
I
it's almost
mean,
like you're killing your kids. It's almost like you're killing them.
yeah, I mean, yeah,
But they never existed, right?
yeah,
In this
yeah. I
alternate
mean, like,
universe reality, they never existed.
could you survive with knowing what your kids would have been, right? And still choose something different versus not knowing. Now, not knowing, because it's the PC thing to say, oh, I had a kid and I love him and I wouldn't change anything. But I could distinctly remember what life was like without a kid,
Mm-hmm.
very vividly,
I
right?
was
So
really young, so
yeah, you was like
yeah,
14, so you was on
I was
some more.
20 years old when I got pregnant.
But if you think about like if I knew what he was today and I went back in that moment, do I grab myself and pull out, or do I or do I stay where I'm at, right? Like, and that's a question, right? And the same thing for women in relationships, or for you for your relationship, is if you knew what you know now, do you still travel that path? And I feel like that's a very hard and complicated answer because you
Yeah,
love your child,
yeah,
but you also see the areas where you could have done better as a parent and
yeah,
as specifically as a provider,
yeah.
right? And I'm not speaking to you specifically. I'm saying that goes for
In
you too,
general, I think every
right? Just
parent
in
has
general,
that.
right?
Yeah, we
Exactly.
don't we they don't come with guides. We don't
Yeah.
know how to. So I think every parent has that where it's like, oh, I wish I wasn't so strict on them. I wish I was more strict. I wish I would have spent more time. I wish I didn't work so hard. I wish I had waited. I wish I had had them when I was younger.
There's all
There's always something.
it's never the right time. Cool heater, man, long time no see. What's up with your boy?
How come
So
people's is
Sonya,
people's and Taste Slay don't get that? Only Cool Heaters
is
does.
Tay Slay on here?
Yeah,
Where you at, Slay? I
he
didn't see
was.
you.
I don't know, maybe because maybe he left because you didn't say it.
Whatever. People's know what's up. I just talked to that fool today. Tay Slay, if you hear, holla if you hear me. Sonya said, like you said, Ali, it's acceptance of what's happened. If you can't accept, then you tend to dwell. I mean, I agree 100%. And I think I do a good job not outwardly expressing the fact that I think about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of hide it. You know what I mean? And just
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
hey, life is what it is. Like, I'm doing fine now. Like, whatever. Bay Area housing prices are stupid, but outside of that, like, it is what it is.
yeah.
Um, yeah, cool heated, missing in action. I know you hear people's. I'm talking about Tay Slay.
Everybody knows you're here. People's is people's.
Right.
We can't miss you. There you go. There you go.
Oh,
There's
what's up with your
example.
boy? I ain't see you sneaking this thing. Whoa. So yeah, it's I mean, but that's life, right? That's the journey that we have as human
Yeah.
beings, is it's a series of all I know is it's a series of steps forward, some of which you stumble, some of which are wins, some of which are successes, some of which are losses, some of which are what we deem to be failures. But if you look at, you know, the old adage, right, is do you
Hmm.
see things as half full or half empty? And I can't lie, I'm a pessimist. So everything to me is half empty. For other people, it's half full. So they do a better job in traversing the, oh, I made this mistake, but here's a silver lining. Look what I learned.
What
And
was
I'm
it the
always like,
leader
look
said
what
the
I
last
missed.
last week with
Hmm?
the remember that you interviewed? He said, I he said, I when I if I have a cup that's half full, and I'm paraphrasing, half full,
Yeah.
I know it's half full, but I also know that it's not full. You know what I mean? That I need
Yeah.
to fill
Yeah.
it, that I can put more in it. So it's like a realist optimist. I'm more of a realist optimist. Like
Yeah.
I
I'm
just
probably a
if I
real
have a
pessimist.
half full cup, I'm not going to be like, oh my god, that's amazing. I have a half full cup. I'm like, all right, cool. I have a half full cup. Now where do we go from here?
Yep. Got that, broke that drinkity drink out, cool heater. Had to do it. It was 6 o'clock. I'm gonna start drinking now.
Yeah, I might too.
5 o'clock was just too early. It was just too soon after work. You know what I mean? I was just running around.
Yeah,
Um,
literally.
Becca said, all of which you can't go back. 100%. You know, I think I've been spoiled growing up in the 90s watching fucking Marty McFly go back in time and like take the
Fix
sports
things
almanac.
and
Biff took the sports almanac and got rich. I'm waiting for that. You know, I'm waiting for the DeLorean to pop up at my doorstep and download all the winnings off the internet and just spend the rest of my
right.
life in Vegas
When's
getting
that
rich.
happening?
I don't know. I'm waiting.
Don't forget about me when you get there.
I'm waiting. So no, I think that's, you know, it's something that I try to work myself through. I mean, this is why we talk about mental health and therapy and talking
Right.
to folks and all that. And I definitely don't think it hinders me now, but it's just one of those things where you look back and just like, I wonder. And that's where, you know, ironically, and I'll just say this, I know this is going to sound a little weird. I don't know. I mean, the universe is full of secrets, right?
Right.
If you listen to you know, astrophysicists and scientists talk about how the universe is, you know, is expanding and broadening, and we're all going out that way, which to them justifies the Big Bang Theory and all these other things. You know, you hear a lot of times people talk about the concept of a multiverse,
Hmm.
where there are parallel universes out there, parallel versions of us, where
Right.
we've made different decisions, right? And we all live a different life in something else.
Right.
And
Right.
part of me, my science fiction bone, which I like that sort of stuff, wonders about, like, I wonder if I could see different Earths and different versions of myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
doing and what that life looked like and all that. That's always intrigued me. And when I think about decision making, I think about that,
Hmm.
where you're down a path, a specific trajectory, and you specifically say, and let's do an easy one like a college major, I'm going to major in business management or I'm going to major in English. That's two
Right.
completely different paths, right? So what, you know, so what then becomes of that person? And is there a different universe where someone like me majored in English or political science
Right.
or
Right.
criminal justice or finance or whatever? And like, what are the different routes that those things take? So that's always been a curiosity of mine. I don't know if that really
So it's
exists,
like
but
almost like if you have a thought where it's like, okay, to your college degree point, like if I was like, oh, I want to be a journalist, oh, I want to be a doctor, oh, I want to be an engineer, whatever, I want to be a writer. And then when you like create that thought, it automatically goes into the universe, and that parallel universe is
right.
already happening. Like it happened and it happened and it happened. That would
That
be
would be
pretty
dope.
cool.
I mean, I'd love to see that. Sonia says, well, Becca said, me too. Um, and maybe there's something that we said. Sonia said, was just talking about this. Would love to see me in the parallel universes. Excuse me. Yeah, I think that would be dope to see parallel
Yeah.
universes. Some people I'd be like, dang, I turned into a dope fiend. And then and then others like, dang, he balling out of control. He was working
Right.
out. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like,
Right. That's funny.
so yeah, I don't know. But that I mean, it's interesting. We live the one life, and we'll probably have to talk about that. We live the one life, and the question is, do we come back and learn from it, or do we go to the next set of, the next spiritual plane, whatever we believe that to be, right?
Right, right.
So, and different cultures have a very distinct belief in what that specific thing is. Kohita says, well, there is a serial killer version of me out there. Purge this dude. Like, everything is about, like, that purge, like 12 hours to kill whoever you want.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, Kohita.
Kohita. It's your boy.
That's my boy.
Unless you believe in reincarnation, and then you come back.
What's that?
Unless you believe in reincarnation.
Yeah, so Sonya's talked about, and and it's interesting, right? Because they've done, like, there's certain faiths that believe in reincarnation.
Yeah.
There are some, and I've talked to psychologists before, where they kind of shoot down the whole, like, hypnotizing people and asking, have you been here before, and all that. You hear a lot of people talk about, oh, Black people are notorious for this. Oh, I look at that baby's eyes. That's got an old soul. She's been here, or he's been here before. And my question is, if I've been here before, I don't remember shit. And I'm making a lot of fucking mistakes, man. Like, I don't remember a damn thing.
I came back as one dumb ass.
Right. So if I came back, I'm stupid. Because I don't remember nothing that I did in a former life. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know. Listen, goat,
your former
cat, frog,
self is like
snake.
up
What
there
if I
just
was
like,
a human?
oh my God.
If I was a wildebeest that got ate by alligators in the Nile 400 years ago, whatever I was, I don't remember nothing. Zero. And I made all the mistakes in life that I can make. And I continue to do so. So
would you
that
ever go talk to like a clairvoyant or something like that? Like to have them read your aura or see if you talk to your past selves or anything like that, or fortune teller or anything like that?
I haven't, because I don't want them to tell me I'm gonna die in a Vegas strip club or something. Like, I just don't want the news.
You don't want to know?
Go out like you die in the back room, in the champagne room of an overdose with a hooker named Sally. Like, I don't want to know that.
I don't think they tell you that details. Sonia said, can you imagine how stupid you were in the previous life then? Because you're supposed to get better in each life.
Yeah, listen, let me tell you this. So that's the confusing part for me.
Good
like,
point,
when people
Sonia.
talk about, like, we all know that's where you're dying. I know, right? It's
just
funny
be prepared
because
every time you go. Just live it up and be like,
right,
if you die,
right,
die
balls to the wall. I don't care. If he dies, he dies. People's is people's. If he dies, he dies. But it's interesting because part of it for me, like, thinking about it from like a practical sense, is there's more people now than there was 100 years ago. So these new souls are coming from somewhere. Right, like, just from a mathematical perspective, right? If you say reincarnation is a thing, like, where are all these people coming from, right? Like, what wildebeest died and you turn into a human, but if you turn back into a cricket, like, what happens? But
well, I don't think it's like a 1-for-1, right? New souls are coming and would be coming as well. It's not like there's a number of. There's infinite. The soul and God is infinite, right? So, like, you have infinite numbers of lives. So some will reincarnate and some will just perish, I guess.
Here's my thing. If you're going to do reincarnation, do me like your boy asked for on The Matrix. I want to know what happened so I can actually be smarter in the next life, because I'm a dummy.
Right.
And most people are dummies. So if we look at the internet, it clearly says people that are if we're all being reincarnated, we're dummies. We don't remember anything. So I'm like, listen, don't reincarnate me if I'm not going to remember. Just send me to wherever the resting place is, because I'm like, this is getting old.
Not that again. When are you going to learn?
Right, exactly. I'm like, man, if I get some memory, if I get a download of my previous life.
But imagine like God, if that's how it is, right? And then God is just watching and like taking bets with the angels or something, saying like, I bet you he's gonna do that again. Watch. There he goes.
Exactly.
There he goes. Falls in that ditch again. Bring
100
Mimi. Where's Mimi? There we go. There's
right.
You have different in your multiverse. It's like black lavender, black like fuchsia,
Black
black
fuchsia.
gold.
Sonia said, yeah, but some cultures reincarnate into higher life forms. I don't know. Well, Sonia, I'd like to know, on this plane of existence, what is a higher life form than a human? You're an ant in this life, bird the next, Ollie the next. And then after that, it's like, I mean, I'm probably not a higher life form than like a wildebeest at this point, but I'm just curious, like, once you reach that plane, then
I think
what is
there
it?
are some
And then
faiths that'll actually like have the actual hierarchy. Like you go
yeah,
from one level and then you go higher and higher and higher.
right.
Higher.
And then that's one form, right? Because if you look at the old Amazons, you know, and the ancient Egyptians and the forms of the pyramid, everything is based on celestials, right? So at that point, you die, your heart is weighed, ancient Egyptians, against the weight of a feather, to see if you've led a good life, right? You know, you get eaten by the jackal. If not, you go up the pyramid, hit a star, make a left, go around Saturn, and wherever you, I don't know what the end result is of that, but you somewhere.
You're somewhere.
Right? So it's interesting. Well, like they say, nobody's come back
or nowhere.
Told the tale.
I think Keanu Reeves said it, like somebody asked him, "What do you like? You know what happens?" Somebody asked him, like, "Do you know what happens when you die?" And he was like, "I just know that the people who love you are going to be really sad." That's what I know.
That's a good answer.
I was like, "That's true. That's the only thing you know."
I mean, that's it, right? Because nobody's, you know, like in the movies, climbing out of the coffin, right? I mean, there's stories about resurrection for sure, but they're all ancient stories, right? And every cultural epicenter has a resurrection story about someone that they deem to be important that's come back to life through, you know, raising from the dead, or through some healing waters, or through body parts being put together or whatever. And you know, I don't know. You'll find out one day. That's for damn
That's
sure.
when you'll know.
That's when you'll know, right? So I'm hoping it's all good. I'm hoping this is just one wacky ass experiment, and whoever created us or created conscious, or if it is,
I hope they're just having a good laugh. Like these idiots.
Oh, it's definitely funny. It's definitely funny.
Like, wow, they took that seriously. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm not gonna lie. You know what threw me off was watching Prometheus, and I know we're going like all over the place, but when they showed, like, you know, a different universe of humanoid type of beings that basically came and sprinkled the earth and said, you know, go forth and multiply, basically playing God, right? Which is the same thing that humans do. We're trying to clone ourselves. We're trying to build better versions of ourselves, you know, whatever. I came to say it's the same cover as last time. Are we using that? I
don't know. Just do whatever. It's too late now.
Well, I need to know. I don't know, because I can't get it now.
Get to Ollie in the middle of an IG live.
Yeah, no, it's over. So I don't know. So we'll see. But anybody on here, if unfortunately you pass away, if you come back, please let us know, so I know like what deity to worship and all that. Get my shit in order. I did get a book though that's the download of the ancient Egyptian teachings, and I actually want to read through that, because there's some similarities between the ancient Egyptians and when you come over here to the Amazons about the pyramid structure and what they say happens to your spirit when you die. You go up, you meet a certain celestial point, and then you like move from there. So I don't know. I don't know if they know something more than what we know, but it definitely is curious.
What do you want us to do when you die? I mean, we'll be at a strip club, right? So
of course, absolutely.
Throw some dollars.
I'm debating on like going old school and give me like the old pine box out of a Western that's really disgusting.
Okay.
Or what's the name of what? I'll have to give you the name, Coolita. The book is over there. I gotta give you the name. Either that or you know what? My father said he wanted his ashes sprinkled under the Golden Gate. So I don't know about the ashes thing, or if I want to like make somebody's life miserable and like put me in an urn over your fireplace so I can fuck with you in the middle of the night when you try to Netflix.
Right. My parents want me to donate their bodies.
Really? Wait, donate their whole body?
Donate it to science so people can do like autopsies and shit on them.
But you know, they do have the whole like, do you want to donate your organs? So this is outside of that.
I don't know. Apparently you can donate your whole body.
The whole body. Oh, you know what? When I went to City College of San Francisco when I was in high school, they had a cadaver there. So you could they would teach you like moving like muscles in the wrist to get the fingers to move and all that, freaking people out or whatever. Interesting.
So I was like, I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm not sure either. You know what they can do? They can gut me and stuff me and put me in like a strip club somewhere, Black Lavender, and just have me permanently up on stage. I worked on a for med students. Cool, Hita, do you want me to get this book? I can get the book right now. Do you want me to get the book? It'll just take a second for me to grab it. I'll snort my. I knew this shit was coming. Snort my ashes. Jeffrey
Dahmer, no.
Snort.
That's so gross. Your friend.
Don't some people put the ashes like in food and everybody like partakes?
No, what?
Yeah, I thought I heard that. Texted me. Okay.
I've never heard that. That's so weird. I've seen.
Actually,
like,
I want to get the book. Keep talking. I want to get the book. Keep talking.
All right. I've seen ads for like you can bury the body in like a planter and then a tree comes out of it. So then your loved one is part of a tree. So that I've heard of that. I don't think I could do that. I think that's just intertwining life and death too close together, and then they're just sitting in my yard or something. I'm good. Like you tell your kids, like, "Hey, go water grandma." That's just weird.
But it's hella funny though.
Yeah, it's funny. It's creepy though. I don't know. I'm good. So yeah, my mom wants me to throw. Both my parents want me to throw parties when they die. They're like, donate our body and then go throw a party.
I mean, those are the celebratory cultures, right? They got it right as far as like, you know, celebrating the transition.
No, right? Actually, like culturally, we're big mourners. Like you got to cry loud, you got to cry hard, you got to wear black for 40 days, and then you got to wear black for a year, and then at the 40th day after your passing, you have to invite everyone over for a remembrance, and then you have to every year have like a remembrance time thing. My grandparents' ashes are in my parents' backyard. That would be beautiful. Get to visit them anytime. It's great. That's different than a tree. Like I feel like that I might be okay with, like in just having them in the yard versus like a tree and then it's your actual body, not just your ashes. It's just creepy. The body part is creepy, not the ashes part.
Yeah. Oh, Becca said that her grandparents' ashes are in the backyard.
Yeah, I read that already.
Oh, interesting. So this is it, Cool Heater. This is the Egyptian Book of the Dead.
Hold it up a little higher so we can read the name. I can't read the name. Okay.
The Egyptian Book of the Dead.
Okay.
Yeah. So I want to start reading this. This was recommended. Let me see who the author is. Translated by E.A. Wallace Budge, Budge. So there is an Egyptologist, a black Egyptologist by the name of Dr. Ben. If you look him up on YouTube, he has a feature on YouTube that they did on PBS. He's a black scholar that goes out there and talks about like the black interpretation of the Egyptology. It's just the stuff that white people are not going to put in the history books and teach you, right? Like all the things that we had and all that. So I do want to read this. So Dr. Ben said to get this version of the translation of the Book of the Dead specifically, he said use what Budge came out with specifically. So that's another thing that's kind of on my list, like, you know, while I'm thinking about things that I need to read. This is one of the things that's kind of high up on the list. Just interested to see, right? Because it might be one of the oldest records, you know, with a thorough kind of translation of, and you can see how thick this thing is.
Yeah. So it's like an actual like old writing, ancient writing translated into English.
And we talked about that before, right? And I, you know, no offense to any of the Christians or the folks that are born that way. He talks about the 42 negative confessions of Ma'at, because the religion was Ma'at, M-A-A-T, right? You talk about Anubis, you see the jackal, the infamous jackal in ancient Egyptian, their hieroglyphics, for example, right? The 42 negative confessions included thou shalt not kill, commit adultery, fornication, all the things that Moses mentioned. And Moses grew up in the temple. He was sailed down the Nile River. Pharaoh's daughter picked him up, right? And he grew up in the Egyptian temple.
Right.
And then he goes to Mount Sinai and comes out with these 10 commandments, but they're all enveloped in the 42 negative confessions of Ma'at already.
Yeah.
Right. So again, no offense to the Christian religion, but you think about religion, there are points in time. So that's what had me interested in reading the Book of the Dead. Yeah. And that's kind of, and I listened, there's a PBS special on YouTube with Dr. Ben on PBS, and it's like 2 hours long. It's kind of grainy, but he goes through temples. He talks about the Aswan Dam. He talks of, they show Isis, with her picture on the temples, dates back 9,000 years. They have a scalpel. They have a washing table. They have her kneeling on a specific stool to have a baby, because gravity is a better, works better when you're trying to have a child to squat rather than to lay back on the bed, et cetera, et cetera. So, outside bathrooms, he covers all that. So it's actually an amazing thing if you have a couple hours to look at. So, cool. The Egyptian Book of the Dead. So I need to swallow that and see what they say about the afterlife. See if I need to get my shit together.
Well, you definitely do, but I'm curious to read it or to hear what you have to say. But I just want to take a quick poll from you guys. Is this start time better? 6 o'clock?
Yeah. And we'll see. Better for me.
You don't want to get off. It's been over an hour.
I know. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we do gotta go.
People gotta go.
Their families.
Nope. All right. Well, no comments. I guess it means it is. All right. Well, thank you all for joining. Have a very safe week. We're going to have a new episode. What?
Yeah, Sunday, new episodes.
Yes. Great. Works for you guys. Awesome. So we're going to have a new episode coming out on Sunday. Please check it out on your favorite podcast platform. Just search We're Not So Different. And don't forget to subscribe, review, and share. And Sonia wants to say something, not to steal your platform, but I encourage everyone to check out what's happening in India with the farmers' large strike and world happening. Gotta go. Yes, this time is good. Yes, Sonia, we really actually did want to talk about the farmers and also talk about what's happening in Nigeria and Ethiopia and Ghana. But I think we were just, Ollie kind of depressed me with the initial conversation. So I was like, let's just change the conversation. But definitely, I agree. Check it out. Yeah. There's a lot of revolutionary movements happening around the world. And it's quite inspiring. So let's all stay aware of what's happening, support what's happening, and continue moving forward. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a great night, and we will see you next week.
Next week, 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.